are listening to the most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Fouché Way with Brandon Fouché, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Fouché Way radio show, live every Thursday at 1 o'clock p.m., sponsored by a nonprofit organization called Canine Hope for Improvement Program, where we hope to improve the quality of our dogs' lives by moving towards a no-kill society. The number here is 818-602-4929. Well, good afternoon, and welcome once again to the Fouché Way radio show. I'd like to start the show by saying my heart goes out to the Newtown, Connecticut victims. I am sorry for their loss. You know, I remember seeing a news segment that was on talking about what kinds of signs that one could look for to prevent such a tragedy. And it made me think about what I do every day with people that I try to help to prevent a tragedy with their dogs. This is not a part-time job for me. This is 24/7, 6 days to Sunday. You know, I live this thing every day, and there is not one dog that I have turned away. Why? Because every dog that steps through my door could be the potential answers to the question of aggression that leads us to a clearer understanding. And if you turn one away and don't try, it could have been the one that you needed to complete the puzzle. That's at least the way I think. That's the way I look at it. And so when a client comes to see me for help, when it's an evaluation, I give them something to do related to their particular problem, which may be difficult or different from what I may say to someone else. And I expect for you to do it. Because you see, I always remember that first phone call after the tragedy hits, the sadness and the devastation in the voice of the person that's calling, which actually kicks me into high alert in order to help them. And then after I have helped, I hear the calmness in their voice, the days to follow. And then the silence, no communication. Even after I have said, please, keep in touch. And the answer to the silence is always the same. Things were going so well. Then all of a sudden it happened. Out of the blue, they'd say. And then my next question is, have you been doing the things that I have asked? And they say, well, not really, because, things were going so well, and, I was doing this, but I wasn't doing that. And that's when I take a deep breath, because they didn't read the signs that led to the problem in the first place. I ask you to do the things I say because I know you can't see the habits that you have created for yourself completely yet. So I'm teaching you to create a habit in your dog first that will lead to ultimately a learned behavior for your dog, and then we will focus more on you. And the other problem comes when a person adopts a dog from a rescue organization that I am affiliated with and says, yes, 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 to all the things I'm saying, and then in the back of their mind, they're saying, no, I don't believe you. And all these dogs need is love. So they get home, they do the opposite, they ruin the dog with everything they believe in, and then want to give the dog back, blaming the dog, when they should have assumed the leadership role. You see, they ignored the rules of leadership. There are rules of leadership. And then it goes bad. And now they're even more afraid because they thought the dog was fixed, or that there was no problem that training couldn't fix by teaching a dog to sit and take a treat. We have a lot to learn, people. And that's what this show is about. Learning about our mistakes, owning them, and then fixing the problem. Which actually brings me to my first guest, which is Emily, with the lovely dog named Lola. Hello, Emily. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I say these things because, Emily, one of the biggest problems with people that adopt dogs is that there are two things that are happening. There is the reason that the person is actually adopting the dog in the first place, and then there are the needs and the will of the dog itself. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And your dog Lola, which is a perfect example of a dog that is adopted from a shelter, who is what we would consider perfect. In other words, they passed the test with the volunteers there, they've passed the test with you, and the dog is adopted. And that's pretty much how
Yep.
it was with you and Lola, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the dog was great. And then we give them home, and life begins to happen that has nothing to do with what took place in the shelter. It has much to do with the relationship between you and the dog. And if those of you who have watched my Facebook page, checked it out, and look at the pictures and the video of Lola. She's a beautiful dog, and we'll get into where those pictures were taken. But first, I would like for Emily to explain, just tell us about Lola. What made you pick her from the shelter?
Yeah, okay. Well, we have had her for about 3 years, a little over 3 years. We got her when she was 10 months old. Put in for adoption and took her home a couple days later.
Okay. Now, yes, just a moment, Nicole. We have Adam that I wanted to have in on the call.
Hello.
Hey, Adam, can you hold just a moment, please?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Nicole, Emily,
Yes.
can you repeat? You brought the dog home.
Yep. Yeah, we brought the dog home, and she was great. And hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
You want after we adopted her? Or?
Yeah, so you brought her home, and everything was great. And then you
Yep.
started having problems. Now, how much time from the time you brought her home from the shelter did you start having problems?
It was about 6 months, I think. We were taking her, socializing her, taking her to the dog park mostly twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was great. She got along with everybody. She was being really perfect. But then we started having problems. That's after adopting her.
Okay. Now, how old is she now?
She's a little over 4. She's about 4.5.
Okay, so
Almost 4.5.
how old was she when you got her?
She was 10 months old.
10 months old. So we're talking about between a year and a half.
Yep.
Okay.
It was about a year and a half.
Year and a half. That's the time when we start hearing about the emotional, hormonal changes within the dog. Okay? What ends up happening is everything that you do up until the time when things starts changing, I call them teenagers at that point, they are imprinting on the dog so that when that hormonal change takes place, they become the thing that we have been priming. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you play a lot of ball playing or tug of war or roughhousing or chasing or toys that require them chewing them up or squeaky toys, things that bring out the predatory side in your dog, then when they reach that age, they begin to look for the real thing to play this out on. Okay? In other words, if it's a squeaky toy, then they're going to be looking for a dog that squeaks.
Yeah.
Or they're going to be trying to make a dog squeak. And then they're not going to listen to us because we've asked them to challenge us. Are those things the things that you have been doing?
That definitely sounds familiar. We gave her toys, and not a ton of toys, but she had several toys, like at all times, pretty much. And we played tug of war, and we wrestled with her, and we thought it was good for her. She was having a good time, but yeah, it definitely changed around that when she was that old, and became a very different experience.
Okay. So, this is very interesting. I mean, this is very serious with me, and I know this is new to people, even though I've been saying this for some time. When I say new, I mean you thought that the things that you were doing with your dog were things that you should be doing, that were good for her because she enjoyed it. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and it looks like they're enjoying it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they're not. It's just that what you're teaching them, what you're priming them to do, is to become a killer. Okay? I mean, They are killing the toys that you give them. They chase down the prey, which is the ball, and they shake it and kill it. You give them the tug of war thing, they're challenging you and pulling on it, and it brings forth that emotional feeling. So everything is priming them up to become this emotional dog. That at some point they're going to try this out on another dog or a person. But we don't think of it that way. We don't look at it that way.
Yeah, for sure. We didn't.
Yeah. And then this becomes the reason that dogs are put in the shelter. We have to look at things now differently. There is something that's happening in the air when we started to begin to save all dogs. We began to realize something was different, that not all dogs were the same, but we couldn't put our finger on it, But we continued to do the things that we had always done because that's all we knew. And so this dog actually puts you in what sometimes I say is like a prison with your life. Your life diminishes to doing nothing with your dog.
Yep, yeah, that's kind of what happened. We couldn't, we eventually stopped taking her. She never had problems with people, but it was dogs. And we stopped taking her to the dog park because it started out with her not getting along with a couple dogs, and then it was like she wouldn't get along with dogs when they were toys, and then she just stopped getting along with everybody. So we just stopped taking her to the park in general, and we used to enjoy it a lot, and she used to enjoy it a lot, and we just couldn't do it. So it became like, well, you're just going to get walks forever.
Right.
You can't get along, and it definitely changed. We felt like it changed the quality of her life a lot, and walks were always complicated because we had to make sure she wasn't going to run into dogs, and
right.
It was complicated.
Yeah, I mean, this is really. I really want people to tune into this concept. I mean, you start off adopting a dog from the shelter that all of the shelter volunteers and people are rooting for. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And you bring him home, and things begin to change. And I'm not just saying that it's only the toys that produce this. It's definitely our lifestyle, but they contribute to this because the games that we play with them have to do with killing. Can you see that now?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely makes sense. It's kind of a lot to ask of her to try to distinguish between the two. And,
right.
We never thought about it that way.
Yeah. And luckily, things happen for a reason. Luckily, you were referred to me, or how did you find me?
We found you through my boyfriend's coworker, who's actually a gigantic cat person, but she has a friend who brought her dogs to you and had great things to say. So we knew we're kind of new to California, so we asked the biggest animal person we knew where we should we were looking for a place to board Lola for when we went away for Christmas.
Oh, okay.
And we couldn't go to a conventional boarding place because they would pretty much just keep her in a cage the whole time because she didn't get along with other dogs. So when we asked my boyfriend's coworker, she referred us to you. And we thought, wow, if Lola can get some help with her dog aggression issues in addition to boarding, that would be a really good deal. Love that.
So you ended up coming to my place, and I always have people come in. We sit down, we talk right in the front office, and as we're talking, I'm always evaluating the dog and the person at that time. Okay, and in my evaluation, I'm looking at the pack there, and I'm seeing behaviors that are more learned than genetic. And I believe I mentioned that to you.
Yeah, you did.
Right. And I gave you some examples of what I was talking about, how you were rubbing the dog and producing these types of behaviors, And then I asked you to come back later. Do you remember?
Yes, you did.
As soon as you left, I talked to Leroy, and I said, I know what the problem is here. I want you to load the dog up, and I want you to take the dog to the dog park. And when you came back, you couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we were amazed that you were taking her, because she hasn't been to the dog park in almost 2 years, just because we were like, well, this is just something you don't do anymore.
Right.
So she looks like she's having such a good time too. So we were really happy to see that.
And this is important because I am using this opportunity today to talk about signs to prevent tragedies in our dogs, because this is very important. And I'm going to say this about you too, that you were not able to see the signs of the aggression that was building in your dog.
Yeah, definitely.
So you saw the videos, you came back, and now I've told you to do some things after the dog being with me for a few hours. And how have those things worked out for you now?
They've been working out. They're hard, but it's hard. It's hard to make changes in something we're so used to. But it's been going well. She's responded pretty immediately to what we've been doing, and she's still a little. It's only been we first brought her in on Saturday, so it hasn't been that long. But she's immediately things felt calmer, and everything mellowed out, and she started to listen more. Really kind of just she's confused a little bit still, and she's kind of wary of the whole thing, but she's definitely listening, and very much there's this kind of tension and this level of activity that's kind of mellowed out, which is really nice. And we come home and we're not trying to be crazy with her and stuff, and it's been working out well so far. We're trying to stick with it, but it is hard. And we're all trying really hard.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 15 years to do this. Yeah. I mean, I think the quality of your life should be as grand as it can be in that period of time, And
yeah, she seems like she understands, and she's it was pretty immediate, the change in feeling, and also her getting that things are different and she needs to kind of fall into line with it. It was pretty immediate, so we were all really surprised about that.
Okay, great. That's exactly what we want to hear, and that if you could tell anyone out there, I mean, you already said it, it's kind of hard, but you guys have come, I believe it's from New York. And she was adopted from the pound in Manhattan, And I want our listeners to remember this dog came from the shelter fine. She was fine for months. And then all of a sudden, changes started taking place. And it really wasn't all of a sudden. They had began the moment that you took her out of the shelter because of the things that you were doing with her. You were imprinting this type of behavior. And ultimately, it had to come out. And this has never been talked about before, this concept of love and affection, positive reinforcement, tricks and treats and things like that that can bring out aggression within your dog. And we will be talking about this from time to time in different ways so that people can get it. And so I wanted you to come on to tell the people that you were making progress with your dog instantly and that you now know that what led to these problems.
Yeah, definitely. It made sense. And, you know, we'd heard a lot of things about, like, why she was acting the way she was and, you know, reasoning for it, and kind of were just, like, resigned to the fact that it was going to be like that forever. That, you know, we just love her, and she'd just be like she'd be with other dogs. And, like, we were kind of, like, we were excited to hear what he had to say, but we didn't, like, we weren't, like, 100%, like, sure it would work until we saw, like, her hanging out at the dog park with other dogs and toys. And, like, people, like, you know, running around with their dogs and Lola not caring and being really about it. And so it was pretty immediate. And, like, you know, we were able to take her home. Like, she's still not perfect with us, and we're working on stuff. And, you know, we think we have a long way to go, but, like, there's definitely, like, very immediate, like, change in tenor of the whole thing. We were really happy about it, and we still are.
Okay. Well, you know, you're going to be bringing her back to me, I believe, to board.
Yep.
And we will continue to work on her, and you will continue to be successful. And I want you to continue to call me, and we will continue to be in touch. Okay?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we're really excited about it.
All right. Thank you very much, Emily. And we will see you soon.
See you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye. Our next caller is Nicole with Moose. Hello, Nicole.
Hi there.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Okay, I'm very interested to talk to you because what I was saying earlier in the show kind of applies to you. Can you kind of tell us about Moose? Moose is a dog that you adopted. And
yes.
Yeah, tell our listeners.
I adopted Moose about 6 months ago. He is about 3.5 years old, so I kind of adopted him in his teen years. And he was a rescue dog and who was found kind of locked up on the street and left alone. So I don't really know the quality of life that he had before, but I'm sure it wasn't good. And I don't know what kind of behaviors he was taught. So I kind of inherited a dog with, I'm sure, some issues, but I just fell in love with him, and he is a very well-behaved, well-mannered, and gentle boy. And I love him, but I brought him to you because I saw some signs right away that I needed to take care of.
Okay. And those were what?
Well, I am a 5'2" little thing, and he is a big dog, so he tended to have sometimes pulling and leash aggression when we would walk. And he wasn't aggressive towards dogs per se, but he would see a dog and he would want to go run and just go see them. And not everybody wants a dog to be running towards them. So I had to work on that with him, and I kind of had to learn to become his alpha. And then there were some other concerns that I have a cat, and he was very aggressive towards my cat and actually went after her. And so that's why I initially brought him to you.
Okay. Now, if you go to my Facebook page, you will see a picture of Moose. He's a beautiful pit bull, boxer mix, I believe. And you brought him back this time because he had a problem with small dogs. And explain to our listeners what happened, Nicole.
Well, I was a bad girl. And I thought everything was fine. I had gone to you. I had picked up some tools from you on how to work with him, how to behave with him, and everything was going fine. So I didn't think that I needed to sort of keep in touch with you. And then I moved, and I recently moved from an apartment to a home, and I have a yard, which I'm not sure if Moose ever had a yard before, or if he did, how he was trained in that yard. He was off leash in my yard. I had taken him out to use the restroom early in the morning, and I'm always with him because there is a fence, but it's low enough for him to jump it. So I'm always out there with him, and one morning, not too long ago, a man was walking a small dog, maybe like a Pomeranian, and the dog walked by, and Moose ran to the fence, and I called him out, to come back. And I think he saw the dog. It stimulated him, and he jumped to the fence and went after the dog and bit him.
Wow.
So then I was like, I had to pay, a high amount of vet bills for this man's dog and for the man, and I wanted to make sure I did the responsible thing and took care of them for the dog and for the person's sake, but also for my and Moose's sake. I wanted everything to be okay for everybody, and I instantly called you back, and I was like, well, time's passed and things are great, and now they're not. And I took them to you immediately.
Yeah, this is, this is what I'm talking about. You have to stay in touch. I said something to you once. I can't give you everything you need in a couple of hours. All the
I wish you could. I wish that I could go to you and you could give me all your life knowledge and give it to me so I could just go and be happy, lovely owner.
Right. It just doesn't work that way. You've got to keep coming back to get all of the pieces to this thing. It's almost like, I remember watching the movie Indiana Jones and the Tunnel of Doom. There's just so many twists and turns to this thing, And the biggest problem is twisting you into thinking that you have to be a part of this, and that the problem, generates basically with us and the reality that we create with our dogs. They can
I was listening to your last caller, and she said that she couldn't believe you had her dog for maybe half a day, and the dog was a different dog, and you do the same thing with my dog. And so I'm realizing that it's not my dog that has problems. It's me that has the problem. And Brandon, you're like rehabilitating me more than you are my dog.
Yes, that's it. Say that again. I'm rehabilitating you more so than your dog.
Yes, because my dog goes to you, and there aren't any of these issues. He runs around at the dog park or in your facility with all types of dogs, sizes, shapes, and it's fine. But if he's with me, he's not that way. He sees a small dog and he acts differently. So I don't think it's my dog per se. It's more me and how I'm with my dog.
Absolutely. You gotta get with this program and say, look, I got to become a better leader. I don't want you to live your life in a way that makes you feel like you're captured, like you're on a leash, and that you can't trust your dog. I mean, when you told me that this dog had a problem with little dogs, going after them, being aggressive, I said, look, bring him to me and let's put him with little dogs. And you let months go by.
I did.
You let months go by. And this thing happened. And it doesn't have to happen, But,
no, it could have totally been prevented if I had just listened to you and done what you had asked. But I thought everything was fine, and I knew best. And actually, I also thought, that's his business is to fix problems. And he doesn't want me calling him and just to bring my dog by and, checking up on us. We're fine. He doesn't want to be bothered by me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and even though, and this is interesting how the human mind works, even though I say to you, and I say it to everyone, call me the next day, call me next week, keep calling me to keep me informed, because as I said earlier, you develop a habit in your life, and it's difficult to change that habit, especially if you don't realize that that's what you have. And so we have a tendency to believe that the problem originates within the dog, so we kind of take ourselves out of the equation. And it's not that way,
No, he's a wonderful dog, and I've known that from the get-go. It's me that has to work on some stuff.
Yeah, and you can't give up. You can't, because you made a mistake. You made a mistake here, okay? And that mistake is going to have to make you smarter. You got to be responsible for that, for this knowledge, that say, hey, I'm owning up to this. I wasn't looking at the signs, and boom, it happened. It's almost like, here we go. I mean, it's like being in a relationship and you break up, right? And then you get back together, but you broke up because this guy's a cheater or, and you get back together.
I knew he was bad news, and I left him.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're back together, and you're standing in line to the movie, and this guy turns and he looks at this chick walking past, and you say, God darn it, that's the problem that we had before. You're doing the same thing, right? That's basically how we have to be with our dogs. We got to look at the signs. We got to be watching them, and we got to say, hey, I saw that, and check them.
Yes.
You got to check them. You got to be on top of them. Just like in a relationship, looking for things, kind of setting them up to fail. So that when they do it, you can check them. You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
And every time I've come to you, I've gotten some more information, some more tools, and I'm sort of like shooting myself in the foot. I'm so mad. Like, why didn't I just stay with it and keep seeing him and getting more information? Things would be so good right now.
Yeah, it's free.
Because every time I talk to you, I get a little bit more information about dogs' behavior and about my behavior and how they're connected, and I get more tools on how to watch for the signs, and I'm sort of just like, gosh, I'm silly for not,
exactly.
eating it all up the first time.
It's all free. I'm trying to humanize this in a way that we can relate it to our everyday life and make this thing work. This is an emotional, hormonal problem that we're in, a relationship that we're in, and we're trying to get it fixed. Dogs are a sign. They are a sign to us becoming balanced as human beings and saving their lives. Okay? That's what this is about. And so that's why you need to call me. And it's unfortunate that you had this accident, but sometimes this is what it takes, to get it right. And I'm glad you brought him back, and I believe he's with me now, and he's doing just great, and we're going to continue with him. Okay?
Yeah, I already have, like I spoke to you the other day, I have plans for him to be working with you a lot.
Okay.
And me to work with you a lot, so.
All right. Well, great. I'm really sorry about what happened, and I hope everything works out with the gentleman. He seems like he's a very understanding person, and we need more people like him, And
yeah, he was very understanding.
Yeah, and most people aren't, once they've gotten bit. And I want to say this quickly, a bite is a bite. This is the way we look at it, but we've got to be responsible for a little bit of this. I mean, if our dogs get into a fight and something in our mind, whether we want to call it intelligence or what, tells us the way that we're going to stop this fight is by taking your fingers and putting it in the dog's mouth and prying his teeth away. I got to tell you.
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's not that smart, okay? And so, I always say the way that you prevent a fight is before a fight ever starts, and we're going to talk more about that. And it's not when the fight actually takes place that we start doing all of these things like this is a rule book. We stick our fingers in the dog's mouth, and then we get bit, and then we blame the dog and say, your dog bit me. No, you put your fingers in his mouth.
Yep.
We got to be careful with that. But, Nicole, thank you for being on the show today, and we will continue to work with you and Moose to make this thing even better. So now you're going to stay on top of things. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay?
Yes, I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Nicole. Our next caller is City. Hi, how are you, City? City?
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm very excited to talk to you because you are a person that I am talking to for the first time. I have never seen your dogs. I have never worked with you with your dogs. Actually, you brought your dog to me, your friend of yours' dog. Can you tell the story? You can tell it better than I.
Okay, we're talking about Whitney, the one that we needed to get evaluated.
Right, that's how I met you. Right.
Okay, so because I'm a huge animal advocate and I try and help, people that are also trying to help the animals. There was a pit bull that was rescued or adopted from the East Valley shelter, And the person that adopted Whitney, the pit bull from the East Valley shelter, started coming across some problems with her and started saying that she was being aggressive, that she was being withdrawn, that she was scared of the dog, and that she needed help. So due to her telling me that there was some aggression issue, I looked for someone that was a specialist in that, and that's an expert, you. Mm-hmm. We brought her over to you to get evaluated. You ended up doing such a great job in giving us the skills and information to help her, get into foster, and hopefully we're going to get her into a forever home. Mm-hmm. But as I was there, we started talking about my home environment mm-hmm. with my 3 dogs right now. Yeah. Where I have all 3 of them separate. And that's due to them fighting, everything like that, and me being a person that, tries to do what I can for the animals. I have, unfortunately, haven't had the time to give myself skills to, make my life with my animals a stress-free life. Right now it's very stressful.
You said something to me that made me want you to come on to the show. You made a statement, because I talk about the pack mentality, discipline, domination. And can you tell our listeners what you said to me?
Yes, okay. So the years and years that I've been helping animals, I've very much believed in the positive reinforcement philosophy mm-hmm. training. I've had many trainers come to me and show me skills on how to do treat training, clicker training, everything like that. Mm-hmm. None of it has ever worked with any of my animals. Like it helps the situation a little bit, then they go to either fighting or something like that. But what I had told you, Brandon, was if I would have come to you a couple of years ago and you would have told me this is what you need to do with your animals, this is how you can create a stress-free life and the pack mentality, stop touching them so much, do this, I would have told you I don't believe you, would not have even wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would have fought you on it because I thought due to, how I'm so loving with the animals in my life, the ones that I've rescued, this is how you can rehabilitate them. This is how you can make things better. And when I came there with Whitney, the pit bull we rescued from the East Valley shelter, mm-hmm. you helped me realize that I need to start thinking a different way if I really want to keep helping animals, because too many of these dogs go right back into the shelters because people don't understand that they're doing things wrong.
Right. I was mentioning that earlier. I mean, there have been many dogs that have been adopted. Yeah. And, people say, no, they just need love, and I'm going to do training, I'm going to do the traditional things, and they really get into this concept of what you're talking about, and this thing doesn't work, and then ultimately they say, well, you know what? It's the dog. It's the dog, and we can't deal with this, and we got to give this dog back. And really, it's the person unwilling to look at what they've been doing for so many years and see that it hasn't been working, and to be willing to try something new.
Yeah, and I have to understand, as a person that is always going to be an animal advocate, I will always love animals. I would always try and help them, rescue them. I need to also open up my mind to doing things different, because so far, what I've been doing, it hasn't been helping. It hasn't been, it has helped. I have animals in my home that I will give up on. I will never send them back to the shelter. I will do whatever I can, but I also have to gain different skills to make things better in their life. And that's one thing that you taught me when we went over there, is that I do have to change things. I have to grow into a person that can be a leader instead of just a play toy around them.
Right. I'm glad you said that. You know, everything we do has to do with positive reinforcement, love and affection, toys. And dogs are dying while we're playing games. Okay, we're playing games with them that they are misinterpreting, and they are being killed because of that. And so I wanted to have you on, City, because I want to help you with your dogs. I want you to take those baby gates down. But first, we're going to talk about the personality of each and every one of your dogs and the kind of relationship that you have with them. And then I'm going to show you how to blend them together. You know, we're doing this backwards now, but I wanted you to come on because you are the perfect person that I'm trying to reach out there, okay, that are resistant to change. And I'm so happy that you said those things to me. They're negative, but they're positive, and that we're going to move forward with them. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, City, and I will be seeing you shortly. Okay?
I look forward to it. I look forward to your help, and I look forward to your, you helping me help more animals.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Our next caller is Wendy Chinchilla. Wendy, how are you?
I'm great. Hi, Brandon. How are you?
I'm going to try and get Adam online, okay? Let's see if we can get
sounds
him
good.
in. So, Wendy?
Yes, I'm here.
Adam, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Adam.
You helping me help more animals.
The background noise there, can we get rid of that, Adam? Okay.
Yeah, I'll just, it's gone.
Okay. So, Wendy, can you tell the people who you are? You are someone that's been involved with helping me in regards to the nonprofit, in regards to getting people involved with trying to help animals. And you actually found Adam. Can you tell our listeners this story? And it's a very beautiful story.
Yes. Well, first of all, I just want to say, Brandon, that I am so honored that you asked me to come on and introduce Adam and talk a little bit about how I met you.
Mm-hmm.
I first found out about you and your amazing work with these dogs with behavioral and aggression issues about 3 years ago in a local magazine in Redondo Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that when I read the article, I knew that there was this passion that we shared, and it's not something, it's not something that you find in everyone. And I knew that I wanted to give my time, and I knew that I wanted to somehow be the voice for these dogs. And when I found you, I knew that was what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to help you. Whatever, I remember telling you, it doesn't matter what you need. I'm willing to help for this cause and to be a stronger push behind educating people about the fact that dogs with behavioral issues and aggression issues do have to be handled differently. So I found you in the magazine, and I got in touch with you, and we've been in touch since then, and I'm just so grateful that you contacted me when you launched your nonprofit Canine Hope for Improvement program. I'm humbled and just so happy to be that first of all. Now, Adam is a friend that I met maybe over a year ago. We met through a mutual friend in LA, and he started to see my posts about the nonprofit and about you and your website, and he has a mutual passion and love for dogs and to help them. So he reached out to me, and I guess I can let him tell the rest of the story.
Okay.
Adam?
Yeah, Adam. I mean, I hear, is that your dog in the background?
It's a friend's dog.
Okay, well, no problem. This is a dog.
The front door, so.
This is a dog show, so the barking is okay. We just keep it down to a little minimum. But Adam, look, tell us, where are you from, Adam?
I'm from a little place called England, across the pond.
Okay, and you are a dog lover, and you have decided to do something. Tell our listeners what you're doing.
Yeah, I trained for an event in October called Tough Mudder. It was like a 12-mile obstacle run, and I completed it. I trained very hard for it, but at the end, I don't know, I felt very, very unfulfilled for some reason, and I just felt that I could have done the run for something, for a cause. So after that, I decided I wanted to run a marathon. I'm very into running, and I think it must have been on or around the day that I saw Wendy's Facebook status about joining your organisation, and once I sort of read about you, about, you know, obviously so-called aggressive dogs and the rehabilitation of not just the dogs but the owners, it just all made sense to, you know, the cause I wanted to run for was, you know, our canine friends, but also your organisation.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, that's
so
beautiful.
I've always been, I've had dogs all my life, and you know, dogs to me are very much my best friends. So.
Okay, and you own a pit bull, is that correct?
I had a pit bull, a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. She was actually my last dog that I owned. So I held her 2 hours after she was born. My best friend bred the dogs, and she actually passed in my arms as well. So it was I was there for pretty much all of her life. But she taught me a lot about life, and yeah, she was just such an amazing person, such an amazing life to have. You know, it just changed my whole outlook on not just dogs and not just, you know, the breed, but also life in general as well. So, you know, she had a very, very big effect on my life.
Wow. You know, the time is rolling, but I want you to tell us just a little bit. Can you just kind of bring it in for us? I mean, your relationship with your dog and what happened. Is that possible that you can do that?
Yeah, so like I say, I was used to go around to my friend's house. He had a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, closely related to the pit, and 2 Rottweilers. So I was always interacting with them. They had Jess, the mother, gave birth to 7 pups. Only 6 survived. Obviously, the run passed over, but I would be around there every day. She would be the dog that would come over to me all the time, and, you know, for the 8 weeks that she had to be with her mother, you know, I was around there pretty much every day, and, you know, we sort of had a connection. But my mum was very against me having a dog because I lived with her at the time. But my granddad, God rest him, I phoned him up one day and said, "Granddad, I got to have this dog." And he said, "Yeah, no worries, come and pick me up," lent me the money. I paid for the dog and took her back. Just put her around the door, and my mum instantly fell in love with her as well. And she was very tiny, but just, you know, full of muscle. She would knock you over if she ran into you, which she did quite a few times. But you know, you could walk her off the lead. She would stay behind you. She was very, very loyal. You know, it was. She was just a perfect pet, and she lasted 7 years. We thought she started fitting at 4 years old. She actually used to sleep in my bed with me. That's how close we were to my girlfriend's annoyance. But she started fitting at 4, and they diagnosed epilepsy. But when she actually passed, they confirmed that it was a brain tumor. But she lasted for a lot longer than she should have done in retrospect.
Wow. Well, you know, Wendy, you're there. You know, tell us. Adam is running this race, and what do we want to tell the people? What do we need here?
Well, what we want to tell all your listeners, Brandon, is, I mean, I know we have a lot of listeners that are tuning in right now, and we want you guys to help us be the voice for these animals, for these dogs, to save lives, and to get Brandon's Fouché Way message out to our communities and in the, you know, all this information in the hands of everyone who is in need and who is frustrated with their situation with their dog, and they're thinking that there's no hope. and that the only solution is going to be what maybe the pound has said or a trainer has said, which is you have to put this animal down. And initially, CHIP, here, Canine Hope for Improvement program, we want to avoid having all these animals killed. And so if you're listening and if you want to help us, then what you can do is donate to the nonprofit, and or also you can sponsor Adam on his marathon race that he'll be doing this coming year. His website is my.reason2race.com/Adam Medhurst, and the last name is MEDHURST. This information is also available on the news feed for Fouché Way, the radio show on Facebook, and also Brandon Fouché on Facebook. Those links are on the news feed, and then you just click there, follow instructions, and every little bit counts, because it's all going to come back to the nonprofit. And this is one little way that you can help us by eventually getting all of this amazing information to the people who need it.
Okay, great. And that's exactly what this is. This is a educational nonprofit. And so I want to thank you, Adam. Good luck. We will be rooting for you. Thank you for everything that you are doing for the dogs. Thank you, Wendy, for what you just said. I want to thank City, Emily, Nicole. Thank all of my guests that came on today, and I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you once again from the Fouché Way
Thank you, Brandon.
Radio
You're
show.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
You're listening to Fouché Way with Brandon Fouché, right here on LA Talk Radio.